This show has a big audience on YouTube, but only a modest 27,000 followers on X. It's unusual for any of our tweets to receive more than a few dozen likes or retweets. But every now and again, something hits a public nerve and generates a huge, unexpected response. And this one shocked me. A post last Friday I made about the Albanese Government's latest attempt to ram through its draconian MAD laws, the Misinformation and Disinformation Bill, got 77,000 views, 1,300 retweets and 4,100 likes in a matter of hours. Now, even among a right-wing leaning sample on a more politically engaged platform like X, that's a response that should alert any politician to a golden opportunity. What was even more telling was the nature of the response. I'd rhetorically asked, so where is Peter Dutton and the Liberal Party on all this? I never anticipated the veracity of your replies. A significant proportion of the comments were more critical of the opposition for not doing the job of opposing than they were of the government for bringing the stupid bill to Parliament in the first place. Bill of Rights Now said, this bill is now so toxic it'll destroy every politician that doesn't come out and totally condemn it. Quite simply, it's the worst piece of proposed legislation ever in Australian history. That any politician thinks it's okay to gag the majority of the population is utterly contemptuous. That they also think it's okay to exempt themselves and their mates is utterly despicable. The outrage at this is palpable, more than at any proposed legislation I've ever seen. This will end political careers and replace governments. Australians must stand up and be counted on this. We will not accept politicians who think it's okay to gag us while they continue with their lies. And Paul Cherry notes, when the government gets the power to decide what is truth and what to censor, that's the last government you'll ever have. And this from Sharon, there are many of us who have addressed Dutton directly asking for a clear statement in response to this bill. It's reminiscent of the E-Safety Commissioner saga. He waits and then delivers a response. It'll be interesting given his support of COVID vaccines, digital ID, E-Safety Commissioner and his 16-year-old threshold for social media accounts. Now this is a skewed sample, as the market research boffins would say, true. But the quantity and quality of this reaction to a tweet from a modest independent news commentary channel like ours is a red flag. It's also a flashing green light of opportunity. But they've got to get loud and strong on this. As I wrote in The Spectator this week, if the Liberal Party don't get very, very liberal about this very, very fast and fight hard, it could be the final nail in the coffin of what John Howard calls the broad church. Not because of fights that might happen inside the Liberal Party, but because the public have had enough of the uni party. The fact is that it looks more and more every day like our political elites are all stitched up together in one pro-big government, pro-bureaucratic control united lump. The Liberal Nationals and Labor Greens mega coalition of power-mad control freaks with little respect for freedom, all pretending to hate each other and pretending to give us choice. Like when my wife used to say to the kids, do you want to go to bed now or after you've brushed your teeth? The false perception of a choice. You may not have to brush your teeth, sure, but you're going to bed. Let's hope that idea is as ridiculous as it sounds. But in 2024, who knows? Joining me now in the studio, our panel of three wise men. Every so often on the show, I want us to do an episode where I'm not the only opinionated talking head you're seeing here. So we've brought the peanut gallery in, three gentlemen who have all been part of this show many times in the past. Representing the boomer generation, the man who got so sick of the union shoveling resources off to the Labor Party and the left, he started his own unions to provide services to clients instead. Outrageous. The founder and leader of Red Unions Australia, Mr. Graham Haycroft. Representing the meat in the generational sandwich, Generation X. He's been a cop, he's been a financial auditor, he runs a law firm, he's a detective of lies and deception, a deep thinker and philosopher, and a man whose attention to detail is so extreme that for him, the glass is never half empty, but always 51.6387942% full. Mr. Scott Pelto. And representing the generation that thinks poverty is not being able to buy a 5-bedroom mansion on your first pay packet, and without having to go to cafe brunches for a week, the millennial with a bigger brain than most, musician, social businessman, small businessman, and a guy who prefers natural law to laws made up by public servants and cat ladies. Mr. Rob McMullen. Welcome, mate. Age before beauty. So, first of all to you, Mr. Haycroft, what are your thoughts on the misinformation laws?
Well, I was fascinated by the good shadow minister. He said, I just wrote down, this legislation has got a lot of problems. No, it doesn't have a lot of problems. It has one problem. The definition of it, upon which it's based, is that disinformation will be defined by a bureaucrat. That's the only problem it's got. Who should be defining it are the people. We should be the ones who are defining whether what we're hearing, what we're seeing is disinformation or not, because we're rational, sensible people. We go and make our own inquiries and we get lots of other alternate opinion like we do now. So this is going to close it down. So in terms of debate theory, which I think is fascinating, if you want to win a debate and you're arguing against an opponent, what you try and do is introduce a false assumption and get them to accept it. The false assumption in this case is that someone other than the people can make a determination of what is disinformation. It's patently false. Yeah. And yet the LNP have accepted this, and we heard this from the good shadow minister, Mr. Coleman. There are lots of problems. No, there's just one, as I said at the beginning.
Yeah, got to get rid of it. Scott, what do you reckon?
Damien, I think it's a fundamental assault on democracy, honestly. And I say that because it's all about attacking free speech. And when it comes to democratic values, free speech is probably the central pillar. I don't think there's anything more important in to maintain a democratic free society than allowing free speech. I'd go so far as to say that you could hear the most distasteful things possible. You could have Beelzebub, the devil himself, get up on a soapbox and make his case. This is a requirement of free speech, and it's up to individuals to discern whether they want to listen to it or not, whether they want to contemplate it and consider it or not. Yeah. But it's not for somebody else to say what can go in someone's ears. And, to the point, this forms part of a course of conduct. There's been an attack on what we must say, like in identity and pronouns. Well, I say nobody gets control of my tongue. No. Nobody's going to tell me what to say.
Good on you. Rob, what do you reckon?
Except your wife, of course.
Of course.
The first thing that came to my mind...
Such a boomer joke. But anyway. Sorry, lady.
Us sexist would say.
First thing that came to my mind was we need to check to see if there's a provision, an exemption for welcome to countries, because, in case you didn't know, apparently they're 250,000 years old now, despite some scientists actually saying that modern humans evolved around 200,000 years ago. But look, free speech assumes people are responsible adults, and so being on the right, often we want people to be responsible and grow up into responsible adults. The left, however, seems to be banking on this strategy of infantilization. It's almost like a civilizational Munchausen by proxy.
You'll have to explain that. Munchausen by proxy.
Oh, it's a pretty dark concept, to be honest.
Okay. Let's not get into it then. Just look it up on Google.
It's infantilizing and damaging your own children for the sake of your own popularity and status and resources. And it seems that the left-wing governments in this country want to do that to the population. Instead of encouraging them to grow up and be able to debate and hear things they might not like, that's prompting a cognitive maturation. In a sense, they want to infantilize people and keep them safe for their own fun and profit.
Yeah. Seems to be sinister, but not without probability in this case. I mean, I often find myself wondering, what the hell's going on here? I mean, you wake up every day and it's like another ridiculous thing these days where you think, nobody wants this, right? It's clear nobody wants this. Okay, so why isn't the opposition speaking out? Why is the government even bothering to bring it? Why didn't they why did they bring this misinformation law back? Right?
Because...
You got an answer for that?
Oh, shit, yeah. You have to understand that the Labor Party politicians and the left are very serious about it, and they planned it through, and they've worked out that the LNP won't oppose anything, right?
Ah.
Right. So the LNP they're like garters in charge of the lettuce patch.
But the public will. Like, don't they know that these laws are ridiculous? I mean, nobody wants them.
But they don't know how to argue, and they don't know how to fight. And one of the reasons they do this stuff is that the Labor Party knows that the LNP won't know what to do. And the classic example, Coleman. I mean, God, they must be shivering in their boots. Being attacked by him is like being attacked by mauled by dead sheep. I mean, really. So
He'll never come on the show now, Graham. That's done it.
they have no idea. No one in the LNP can see the simplicity of this. Right? As you were saying, it's just an outright attack on freedom of speech, but it can be argued down on its basic premise. Where are they? Why aren't they coming out to do it?
Yeah.
And the reason it's been introduced is because the Labor Party know that they won't, and what that does is that alienates the right wing of the LNP support. They go, oh, they're hopeless, and so they vote for One Nation and Catter up north and the parties out to the right. And that effectively significantly harms the Conservative cause. Not to say that those minor parties aren't conservative, but in terms of money, so you don't get any money for second preference. It's only the first
that's
vote,
right. And they do get money. They get like $3 or $4 per vote, right?
Yeah, and the LNP politicians are all innumerate.
All right. Any final comments, guys? No? Okay, we'll carry on because I do want to get to a lot of other topics. But we have to have a quick message for our sponsors. Then we're going to come back and we'll be discussing with the three wise men something even worse, if you could believe it. If you thought the misinformation and disinformation laws from the feds were bad, we've got some fantastic stuff coming up from the state governments. Truly terrifying. Did you know that for every 2 to 3 teachers in Australia working hard in classrooms across the country, there is one taxpayer-funded bureaucrat sitting behind a desk doing admin and making and enforcing rules and regulations that make those teachers' jobs even harder? That's right, one bureaucrat for every 2 to 3 frontline teachers. That's how bloated our public service has become. But you'll never hear about it from the regular teachers' unions because they also represent many of those public servants. So says the leading alternative teachers' union in Australia, the TPAA. If you're a teacher, it's time to change to a union that will not only look after you without using your money to support the Labor Party, but which is taking on the government education system to sidestep those bureaucrats and use the savings to pay all teachers 25% more. The current waste must stop. All the red tape doesn't just suck up resources and time, it actually takes the teachers away from teaching our kids and it wastes their time filling in crazy paperwork for meddling bureaucrats. So join the union that will actually stand up against big bloated government. Join the TPAA, the Teachers Professional Association of Australia. To find out more, just Google TPAA. The TPAA's fees are half the price because none of your money goes to any political party. And as an Other Side viewer, if you use our special code OTHERSIDE1 when you sign up, you'll get a further $100 off your first year's fees as a rebate on your first payments. Go to tpaa.redunion.com.au, tpaa.redunion.com.au to sign up now for a better union and support the other side too by supporting our sponsors. Thank you, teachers, you legends. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.